lines on the Austro-Hungarian border measure the scope of Hungary's anti-red revolt. West Hungary is rebel-controlled. From the uniforms of border guards, from the flags, the red star has been ripped. The hated symbol of communism is effaced wherever found. As sporadic fighting continues, the red regime offers virtual self-rule.
Up till 19 was a revolution, and I had to leave the country. I ran over border to Yugoslavia, and I was there 9 months waiting for American United States delegation, and they came and they took question, they accept me to come to the United States. And I came in 1957 in October. I was 20 years old, and since then I'm in the United States, Nyack, New York, and that's the story. I born in 37. I was the youngest one in the family. I have 5 sisters and a brother. We have a farm 3 kilometers away from the town, and it was the main food for a family. When you lease farmland, we had to pay to the government, all kind of tax was on it. If you lease the rent, you have to feed the cities, you know. That's because it was corrupted. I was 14, I went to full-time jobs, state farm, turning over the soil with the tractors, and I was there for a year, and was not much paid under the Soviet regimes, but under the regime, life not so hot. It was not easy to survive even, Start revolution in 1956, October, and last for 3 months. And during the revolution, the brother killed the brother. One of them was communist, the other one was anti-communist. I mean, there was chaos, people dying, thousands for no reason. The Hungarian soldiers, they dropped the gun and they just went home. They dropped their guns, it was all over on the road. We picked it up, and the Hungarian population was fed up with communism because it was very bad living condition and no freedom whatsoever, and no freedom of even speak. That's communism. Communism it's the worst dictators could be in the world, and people didn't see it, didn't live in it, they didn't know it, but that's the worst regime could be, a communism. From the town, 4 of us run to the border, went with the railroad, and we jumped in opposite side, not to the platform. So it was dark, and we know the border, where is the border, was not too far from our town. And when we walked through, we see on a horse with a machine gun, most likely was a Russian soldier, but we hide and we didn't move. When he passed by, we ran, and we went to the first house we met in Yugoslavian side, on the other side, and they called the police and they took us to the camps, to the lagers, And from there they separate us, the single men and families, separate, and they was put us wherever they could, but it was not a heat. And when there was so many of us in one room, we was 80 some people, over 80 people, so human body was heating it up. It was not cold. The lager food was so poor, we almost could die, Guys run from the lager, and they told the story, and they come to inspecting the lager, and then we looked at it, it's a soup and has meat in it. And I said, meat? Nobody see a meat in the lager. And was pieces of meat and worms was full of worms, the meat, and the worms was the same one, same size as a bean. And people see it as meat because soft, was a worm. Not meat, was a worm. The meat was just the bones left over. And the people still eat it. I couldn't eat it, I would throw up. And they eat it. And I did okay because I did volunteer work. Most of the time I was in Yugoslavia during the 9 months. Then United States government delegation came and they accepted me and they brought me over. Before the revolution people was really ready to fight the regimes, and they was hoping gonna be some outside country support, and was other countries uprised too, Czechoslovakia, for instance, and Poland and Romania, but they break that down because dictatorship, the communism leaders, they had the power and the people don't have the power. After the revolution, some people went back, some people never went even back to visiting, because they was not trusted, because after the revolution was again same regime, and was for many years was nobody could even go back to visiting the family members and all that. So 5 years later, when I get the citizen paper, I brought my parents over too. And they enjoyed the country and the freedom, and they liked Nyack Russian Orthodox Church because they had the right to go to church. In Hungary, they don't have. Church was closing down during the regime, the communism regime. So they was enjoyed to be in this country too. You cannot compare the United States laws and traditions and all that with communist regime, So people should enjoy the United States. But farming, I always was dreaming I will in the United States be a farmer, but never get to it.
Really?
Because I get the job, and job has benefits and paid, and I get stuck with it. When I came, I really liked the country and the opportunities and the freedom, and I appreciate to be here. I had a sister in Nyack. I came to her, and later on, 3 years later, I married, and I have a job. The last 21 years I work in Chrome. I rebuilt turbine engine parts, and I retired from there. That was one job. I retired. The other one, I have real estate, so I work my houses, and that's the story. That's it.